to be speeding up, it has to be missing days. So the year is not 365 days, it'll be like 348, 349, I don't know, depending on what 12 lunar cycles will give you. It's 12 times, you can figure it out, 12 times 28 or 29 or something like that. And then you'll see that it's missing about, well, suppose it's missing 3 days a month, 2 or 3 days a month. So it's missing about 25 of the Western days. And that's going to dislocate it. And that's why it looks like it's constantly moving backwards in time. So Ramadan will be in spring one time, the next thing it'll be February, then it'll be in January, it'll be in December, it keeps moving back. That's the reason, it's totally lunar, based on the lunar month, and the lunar month does not agree with the solar month. You know why? I know this is stupid, but a lot of people don't think about these things. And we live in a universe you can observe, so it's worth thinking about before we move along. Why doesn't the lunar month agree with the solar month? Well, because the solar month is the time it takes the Earth to revolve around the sun. But the lunar month, let me see if I can figure this out right, is, what is it? It's the time it takes the moon to revolve around the Earth. Is that what it is?
That's right.
So there's no reason why these should agree in any way, shape, or form, and they don't. They're totally different speeds, and so what the Christians and the Jews did was intercalculate a certain number of days to try to make it link up. And in the Julian calendar, we have a leap year. So that means every 4th year, even our days don't, you know, every 4th year you have to add a day in order to make it even the solar agree. I don't know what they did with the lunar and the Julian calendar. Yeah, what was your point?
I was just going to say that I know a lot of Christians, Christian Orthodox, they celebrate Easter with the
They're
Passover.
moved back. Yeah, that is true. The Greek Orthodox, I mean, I've been to Greece and other parts of the Christian world where they use a Greek Orthodox calendar. In Russia they do too. And I know that Christmas usually is about 3 weeks later. It's usually in January sometime. And Easter, the same thing. It's very confusing, but it has to do with their calendar being not totally different. They never accepted the Western Julian calendar. I think they use the Gregorian calendar or something. Yeah, but usually you can figure it out. I think it was about 21 days difference or something like that. And so you can just count 21 days to get when the Greek Orthodox are going to celebrate their Easter or Christmas and stuff. So, if you go back to the Maccabean Festival, I think more important than the national liberation struggle, which is part of it, is the idea Hanukkah actually means what? What's the Hebrew word mean? Dedication or rededication. So it's the consecration or rededication of the temple. And that is what the whole festival is supposed to be revolving around, what's called the Festival of Light, because some miraculous thing, the candle burned 12 days or something like that, or 8 days, I guess it is. Christmas is 12 days. Hanukkah is 8 days. But you read the Maccabean books in the Christian Bible, not in the Jewish Bible. They're not, by the way, in the Protestant Bible either. Listen, these are spin-offs, but it's my way of trying to bring you all up to the same level. Is that okay with you?
Oh, yeah.
Because we want to fill in any gaps in your information. Some people might know these things, other people may not. Right? So, why would the Hanukkah or the Maccabean books that describe why Hanukkah is celebrated and the military victories and the struggle against the Greeks, before we even go there, why are these Greeks that are being struggled against? Even though the armies are probably not native Greek armies, the culture is Greco-Hellenistic, as we call it. How did this come to be that these are Greeks that the Jews are struggling against?
Yeah,
It's Alexander, right, it's okay, it's Alexander. And there's 2 movies coming out very quickly this spring and fall about Alexander, one with some Australian actor, I think, and the other, I forget who's playing Alexander. Anyway, there's a couple of movies coming down the pipeline about Alexander. He suddenly got popular. He's easy to date. 333 BC. He conquered these parts of the world. Came through Middle East, Palestine, and other places, down to Egypt in 333 BC. That's a really easy date to remember. And then he died 10 years later under curious circumstances, either from wounds, heavy drinking, or poisoning. Probably, I think, poisoning by people who didn't either like him, were jealous of the power he had, or were concerned about his mental state. In any case, he died a fairly young man in 323 BC, and his empire, as it were, which had gone all the way to India by that time and included the whole previous Middle Eastern influence sphere or control sphere of the Persians. He conquered and defeated the Persians, who had a very large empirical spread from the Mediterranean all the way out to India. And then he, therefore, took over their capital in what we now call Iraq. It was a place called Susa, not far from present-day Baghdad. And then he moved further east. But when he died, and this will be very important for our different, the different biblical books that relate to this, his empire was divided up into 4 parts among his generals and his close companions, as it were, like Jesus, if you will. And who can tell me what the 4 parts were? See, you will admit these things are important.
Yeah.
And the people who don't have this kind of information are really, I think, really operating in a vacuum. And their opinions on the meaning of their documents, the historicity of their documents, are really not worth very much, since they don't even have the grounding in the world in which these documents emerged to base their ideas on. So it's mostly based on their imagination, their wishes, their dreams, or their preferences, but not based on any really